We are live. Hello, everyone. Semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. As you can see, we have Dave Mack from at Zero Carb. We have Russ from Homesick Buckeye, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows the Quackmaster Rick from Charger Mopar. Yep, things are going to go bad. Russ did something for us here. Just before we get started here, let me just say, because there's four of us, I'm not running scrolls at the bottom of the screen today. So remember that none of us are doctors. Nothing you hear on the show is medical advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. Now, let me see if I can make this thing work.
I think I heard that, some people probably coming in the room here. But I think I heard that laughter is like medicine. So you can call me Dr. Buckeye for the purposes of.
Yes, let me see if I can make this work.
Oh, you want to start out the stream with that, man?
Yeah. Why not?
Oh, yes. Greetings and salutations, ketogenic people all over the world.
I want to.
Family, it's your Reverend I.B. Low Carbon here today with a special
full screen
message and an inspirational message for all
the
ketogenic family around the world. But today, family, it's not just any day. It's a wonderful day. It's a special day because today is the birthday of our dearly beloved deacon, brother semi-retired Bob, family. And we want to wish him a special and happy birthday. And just as this is no ordinary birthday and no ordinary day, our brother Deacon semi-retired Bob is no ordinary deacon. He is a special deacon, a beloved deacon, a deacon with a story that only a ketogenic living can tell. Family, our brother Bob, who hails from the great state of Ohio. If you know me, you know I have a soft spot in my heart for all our beloved Buckeye beef eaters. And family, this Buckeye beef eater hails from the Ohio, but traversed and matriculated his way to the mean streets of Omaha, Nebraska. And family, he has been there for some time working as he travels the mean streets of Omaha, Nebraska, seeking out sugar-sick souls that he could save and bring into our wonderful way of ketogenic living. And family, this deacon, boy, he was struck down with heart ailments and struck down with obesity. But family, as we know, just when you think you can't make it another day, come on, somebody. Just when you think there's no answer, no way out, here comes keto. Yes, sir. Ketogenic living has saved our brother, dear beloved semi-retired Bob, and now he's living his best life out, walking, out seeking out sugar-sick souls, telling them of the power of protein, telling them that he's fueled by fat. Come on, somebody. Telling them they have no fear of cholesterol, no fear of diabetes, no fear of these things if they get on the path to ketogenic living. And I'm here to tell you today, this ketogenic meaty warrior is out in these streets telling folks that frosted flakes aren't great. He's telling folks to put them biscuits down and get some beef that's ground. Come on, I wish I had a witness today. He's telling them that they don't need to be eating fruits and vegetables full of fiber, weighing down their guts and fogging their minds. What they need is fat and protein. What they need is fatty meats and eggs with the yolks.
Okay. Now let's... Oh, shoot. I screwed that up. Stop that screen.
Hello. Oh, no. Can you hear me? We got no sound. I
can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear everybody now. If I could just figure out how to get us back to where... There we go.
That's it.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Thank you. We have a lot of people in the chat, so I want to quickly roll through the people that are here, and then I'm sure everybody in the chat knows who all these people are, but then we'll start with Dave and then have Rick go and then save the Reverend Homesick Buckeye for last, and just everybody give a 3 or 4 minute, hi, how are you? This is who I am kind of thing. But Target Prime Rib is here. Feral Grandma is here. Amanda's Violin and Adventures is here. Hello, I'm glad you're all here. It really does mean a lot to me that you all showed up. Jay is here. Paul is here. And let's go ahead and jump in on this because Amanda had a question earlier, sort of a question. So glad to be home from the hospital. I'm going to write a letter to the cardiology team. They are out of date. Couldn't even answer my what is worse, high LDL or high triglycerides question. Of course, my answer to this is if you're eating a proper human diet, neither of them really matter because they're going to be set where your body thinks they should be if you're eating a proper human diet. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like the whole thing is if you're eating appropriately, then you shouldn't have to worry about what's going on, So yeah, it doesn't really matter. But the fact that the doctors can't answer this at all is pretty atrocious.
Yeah. How about you, Rick? Any opinion on this? No sound. Sorry, Rick, I can't hear you. Let me check and see if I did anything stupid here. I don't think so. Try it again now, Rick. No, still got no sound from Rick. Let's see here.
He's muted on there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, he found something. So how about you, Russ? You got any opinion on this? I know you're not.
Well, yeah. My opinion is Rick is a moron. That's my opinion on this. I'm just kidding. That's my brother. I would say that high triglycerides, is that the case, which is worse? I read it. I believe you want your triglycerides to be low. Your HDL and LDL, your cholesterol numbers, from the teachings that I've heard and such, are not what you need to be worried about. It's more of a ratio of triglycerides to HDL. And so, therefore, you want your triglycerides to be as low as possible. And they generally will come down when you start any type of ketogenic diet, carnivore, whatever you're doing. That's what I understand.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on this, Rick.
My little black menace assistant decided to play with the cord that goes to the mixer, and he pulled it out. He's over there looking at me. I think I fed him, but I think he just wants to hang out here. But anyway, when it comes to health, I'm the worst person to ask because I haven't been to a doctor since 1996. So I wouldn't know a triglyceride from, a tricycle. But I would assume the few times that I've taken my blood sugar, it's usually, anywhere from 60 to 90. And sometimes it's been below 50. And I've had people tell me, well, that's too low, aren't you going to feel dizzy? And I'm like, I just went for a bike ride and I checked it and it was around 53 or something like that. And they said, well, you don't feel dizzy? I said, no, I don't feel dizzy. But I mean, think about it. If you run on glucose, you would want to keep that at a stable level. It'd be like driving your car with a carburetor. If you put too much fuel in there, it's going to spill all over the engine. If you don't have enough, you're going to run out of gas. So it would be like overfilling your fuel tank. You keep pouring that stuff in there, you're just going to do a lot of damage. So, but again, I feel good. I have lots of energy. I've spent the last week doing physical labor every day. Thankfully, today I didn't have to, but I don't have any symptoms, no aches or pains. And if you want to get a good laugh, you should see me up in an attic trying to run AC duct when there's only a 36-inch crawl space and you're 6'6".
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Wow.
Jiffy is here. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Glad you made it here. Paul, of course, is here. Darth Carnivore has made it. Hello, Darth. Glad you made it. Sandy is here. Hello, Sandy. Glad you made it as well. And Josephine is here. Howdy, beautiful people. Happy birthday, Bob. It's your birthday. Enjoy. Yes, indeed. We got a lot of people in the chat already. We're up to 66. So whoever's channel you're watching on, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Maybe we can get some more people in. But Brenda's here. And the father of United Carnivore. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Carnivore Keith is here. Brenda is here. Hello, Brenda. Glad you made it. Jonathan is here. The Carnivore Muscle. Glad you made it, Jonathan. Elizabeth has arrived. Let's see here. Carnivore Hercules made it. I'm trying to get through this so we can get to the introductions of these guys. I don't know if I've seen Carnivore Keith yet, so hello. I'm glad you're here. He says all my favorites in one place. How could I miss this? He must be talking about you three because I'm nobody's favorite.
Yeah, so you're my favorite, Bob. That's so here. How about that?
Mm-hmm. And Tard Nation has made it. Love that picture, by the way. Wow, there's a lot of people in here. I'm not used to dealing with this much chat. I blame Dave. This is your fault, Dave. There's a lot of chat going on out here.
Celebrity.
So I'm going to keep Dave. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody while I just kind of scroll through the chats and put them up on the bottom so people don't think I'm ignoring them.
Sure. So, hey everyone, I'm Dave. I've been carnivore almost 3 years now, and I've transformed my life. Things changed completely. Got rid of arthritis, brain fog. I've improved symptoms I had from a stroke, gum disease gone, all that kind of thing. And so I'm a very passionate advocate of carnivore now. And I've completely removed all ducks from my life as well as part of and so, that's me. So very nice to meet you all. If I've already met you, very nice to see you again. And that's about it from me.
Okay, Rick, go ahead and tell people who the Quackster is.
Well, I'm the original carnivore quack. You know, a lot of times they say these carnivore doctors are quacks. Well, I'm not a doctor. I'm a ductor. And this is the first rubber ducky I ever had as a kid. Somehow I still have it. You can see that it's chewed up because as a kid, you know, we like to chew on things. But this man over here, he started his very amazing interview career by interviewing this quack right here and then going on from there to interview the world's best carnivores. There's nobody else that has a better list of all the carnivore experiences than this guy right here. Now, as for me, I started carnivore when Reagan was president. It was 1983, and I was a very frustrated kid, and I wanted to give myself a heart attack. I was skinny and short, and, I mean, the girls were bigger than me. They used to pick on me, and I hated my life. So I thought, you know what? I don't like smoking. I don't like drinking. Drugs, not for me. But what is the one forbidden thing that they told you back in the 80s? Fat. So my idea was maximize the meat and maximize the fat. Ditch the margarine, hit the butter, hit the lard, hit the tallow, and live like that. And hopefully I get a heart attack before I had to go to high school. And then, you know, but my story's all over the internet, and you can see that I'm going to be 57 in a few weeks. And I think I'm doing pretty good. You know, I can outwork the 20-somethings. I don't have any aches or pains. I got a full head of hair, which I think that's genetic because these guys over here are healthy too. But, you know, it's just luck, I guess, in that case. But other than that, the carnivore diet works really well for me, and I love the food. I never get tempted because I call everything else duck food. And that's the reason why I'm the duck man.
Thank you, Rick. And Russ,
tell
everybody who you are.
I was going to say that, and he has a duck killing field in his backyard, so that's why he's also got it there. I am Russ Mitchell, homesick Buckeye. I am originally from Ohio, but live in Jacksonville, Florida now. And I I'm an evangelist, but more important than all that, I like to make people laugh and smile. I'm a naturally silly guy, a natural born idiot. And so I do a show on Tuesday nights, 8:30 with this clown over here is on there. Everybody that's on the panel has been on the show. And it's the Keto Cookout, and it's on Tuesday nights. Just a fun live stream. Anybody can come in and that. But in terms of, and I tend to talk about ketogenic living because I'm an evangelist. And a lot of people, in my experience, when you start talking carnivore, they look at you like you got 3 heads and like, I'll never do that, rah, rah, rah. So I talk about ketogenic diets and that to get people in, to get people interested, and then you smack them in the head with a ribeye. That's kind of, the way I go about it. But I'm a carnivore most of the time, probably 90% of the time in my personal life. And over the past year, I've lost 60 pounds, kept it off. I've got my A1C down to 4.8. I've got my fasting insulin down, everything, all my liver numbers down. And so, much the same as everybody. And listen, I talk about it openly and honestly on my channel. And I struggle, from time to time. I've got, I fall off the wagon. I got one leg off the wagon a lot of times anyway, but my story is still being written, and you don't fail until you quit. So we're going to keep fighting every day. And in the meantime, hopefully, we make people laugh and smile and still spread the good news, spread this message to people, because it's a sugar sick world out here. And we all need to let as many people as we know, as many people as we can know what the power of high fat, high protein, low carbohydrate diets, whichever one you choose, whichever one you feel is best for you, will do wonders for you.
Okay, and we've got our first question here. Jersey Mike asked, does keto carnivore diet reduce knee pain, inflammation, and arthritis? I'm going to go ahead and take this one first, and then we'll see what everybody else has to say. You have to understand, because if you're watching from somebody else's channel and you've never actually seen this old guy before, I started off 3 years ago. I couldn't stand for more than 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain because I had arthritis and spinal stenosis and a partridge in a pear tree. The list goes on and on and on. And now if you go look at some of my current videos, I've been walking on average 2.5 to 4 miles a day for the last month. So yes, the short answer is absolutely yes. The carnivore diet will reduce knee pain, inflammation, and arthritis. But that's just my story. How about you, Dave? Did you have any success with any of that stuff?
Yeah, I had arthritis in my left knee. And about 2 months into carnivore, the pain's completely gone. And has only come back when I've tried to do something like reintroduce some green leafy veggies or something like that, It's amazing. I went from struggling to walk to, enjoying running, walking 90 minutes at a time. It's awesome. Yeah. Can't, it was just life-changing.
Great. And I'm going to skip Rick on this because he's going to say, well, I've been doing this for 41 years and I've never had arthritis or any of that stuff, because he's, look at the guy. He's been carnivore for longer than many people watching today have been alive. So how about you, Russ? Have you had any luck with this?
There's no doubt about it. First, I'd like to say shout out to Jersey Mike. I used to love your subs. I don't eat them anymore. But once upon a time. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. Ketogenic diets in general, all of them are anti-inflammatory. They are naturally diuretic, and a lot of people have inflammation from water retention. When you get those carbs down, get your blood sugars down, get your insulin levels down, you will naturally just let go of the water and the inflammation and many of the things that cause those problems. And yes, you just like Bob, I had a lot of those problems with walking and standing and things like that. I talked about on my channel, I hadn't been in a grocery store for 7 years before October of 2023. due to just, a couple of things, but one of them was getting around was tough. And so now I walk around Costco like I own the place. So, it's just, it will make a difference. No doubt about it.
Excellent. And Anthony has a question here that says, what the heck is the sugar diet? I don't know exactly what the sugar diet is because I
And an
haven't
American
watched,
diet. That's what
I haven't been watching any of these people that have been pushing it. But what I can tell you is that you can either go to a high-fat, moderate protein diet, which is what carnivore is, or you can go to a high-carbohydrate, moderate protein diet. As long as you're alleviating the Randall cycle, which is what causes inflammation in the body. And don't ask me to explain how that works. If you really want to know about that, you can go over to Professor K's channel. He's got a whole playlist about it. You can spend 15 or 20 hours deep diving into that stuff and learn all about it. But both of those diets, because they will help reduce inflammation, you will feel better. You will lose weight if that's all you're interested in. But one of those diets is devoid of nutrients that the body needs, which is why people only make it on average 4 to 5 years on the people that eat on the other side of the aisle from carnivore, because they're missing out on key nutrients. And most of the people that quit that lifestyle say that the reason is they had a catastrophic health failure. That's my thoughts on that. Dave, have you seen any of these people out there pushing the sugar diet?
So I've seen Bart do reactions to one of the guys, the screaming guy. I think it's Cole or Coleman or something.
Yes.
Screaming about the sugar diet. But for me, the thing that strikes me as like weird about this sugar diet is, what does it do to your oral health? That cannot be good for your mouth. Just constantly eating sugar.
Yeah. How about you, Rick? Have you seen any of these people out there pushing this stuff?
Not only have I seen it recently, I've seen it decades ago. There's nothing new to this diet. This is a diet that's been around since I was in high school. And what it was, basically a carbohydrate and protein diet. That they took a lot of protein powder and supplements and a lot of sugary things, everything from soda to fruit juice to whatever. And as long as you're young and relatively muscular, your body can absorb a lot of that sugar and you don't have any negative effects. But when you get older and your pancreas doesn't work like it used to, and you've been sitting around all day, that diet doesn't work. And all you got to do is look at a fruitarian. Fruitarians, they tend to be very skinny because they don't eat fat, they eat fruit. And you notice that they age rather quickly. And if you see anyone that's on the sugar diet, by the time they reach their 50s, they look really bad. Their skin is kind of wrinkled and they look like something that you threw out in the dumpster. You know, it's all kind of worn out. Now, all you got to do is look at somebody like Durian Ryder. I mean, look at this guy. He's been doing this sugar diet for a long time. And I think he's younger than me. But he looks kind of old. I mean, he is lean, but he just looks old. And I think he's even used steroids. So I think if he would have been on the high-fat protein diet, he'd probably look more like Dr. Baker.
How about you, Russ? Have you seen any of these guys out there?
Listen, there's kooks and wackos everywhere. To me, the standard American diet is the sugar diet. I mean, that's you can't even get ketchup without sugar. I mean, you name it, everything has sugar in it. Listen, I sum it up pretty quickly. There's only 3 nutritional macros. We all know what they are. There's only one that's non-essential. There's only one nutritional macro that your body has a natural defense against you getting too much of it. As far as I know, your body doesn't have any defense for you getting too much fat, although you may turn into a 2-legged nuclear reactor. But other than that, there's no defense against it. I'm not aware of any defense mechanism that your body has for too much protein. Like, something kicks in to save you from it. But we have insulin, which is there to protect us from getting too much sugar. So if your body has to protect you from getting something that is non-essential to you, get it out of here. That's what I have to say about it. We'll be back after these messages.
Okay, and Target Prime Rib has a question specifically for you there, Rick. Have you trained Milton yet to hunt iguanas?
No, but I'll tell you one thing. A small lizard got in the house, and he chased that thing all over the place. The lizard, like a gecko, was going beep, 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 beep. It was making a noise like that. And he heard the noise, and he focused on it. It was living in my air conditioner. Well, when it tried to make a run for it, Milton, he ran there, and he grabbed it. He got it in his mouth. So I'm telling him, give me this silly thing back. I finally got it out of his mouth, threw it outside. But every time he heard a noise, he's looking around. Now, he's a little small. He's only, 8 months old now? But maybe when he gets full size, he may be able to catch an iguana. But he's definitely a lizard catcher, from what I could see.
Well, we know where he got it from. We know he learned from the best.
He learned from you how to chase lizards down. Absolutely. So, Dave, this is the first time I've seen you since you went down to, I believe it was Melbourne. Why don't you bring everybody up to date on how that trip went? I'm sure we'll talk more about this later this week when I see you on Wednesday, but since we've got a different audience here today, go ahead and fill us in on your trip to Melbourne.
Yeah, so Melbourne was great. We had about 10 speakers there, and just phenomenal. So the stories, Carnivore Ray's story is amazing. Bradley Marshall's story is amazing. It's just like everyone's got tears in their eyes for a lot of the speeches. It was fantastic. So, definitely check out those guys online. But yeah, it went really good. I'm not sure how many hundred people were there. It might be like 300 or 400 people there. Lots of meat consumed. And yeah, I gave Carnivore Ray blisters. So he wanted to kind of have a look around Melbourne. I said, all right, let's go for a walk. And we ended up walking something ridiculous. It was about 20 kilometers, and he was wearing cowboy boots. So it was a bit of a.
That had to hurt.
Yeah, but we had good steak along the way, and yeah, it was great.
Okay, let's see here. Rick, I'm mad at you because I'm still waiting for my massive heart attack, but I keep failing miserably because I just keep getting thinner and healthier. He's blaming you for that, Rick.
Everybody blames me for everything. When it comes to being thin, there's nobody thinner than me. I'm so skinny I could pass for a vegan, maybe a 30-year-old vegan, but I could definitely pass for a vegan.
Yeah. And there's one thing I want to get into here real quick since we have everybody here, because I had a question on my channel. Is it possible to eat too much fat? And of course, the short answer is it's possible to eat too much of anything. Even water in excess is not good for us, but it's very, very hard to eat too much fat because fat is what will really blast into your satiety hormones. And the other thing that goes along with this is everybody is always worried about how much they're eating. And they're afraid that gluconeogenesis is going to make their sugar go through the roof if they eat just a little bit too much. So I would like to take this opportunity in front of everybody that's watching right now. Rick, how much do you eat a day and how often do you eat?
Well, I don't think I eat that much, but usually I eat about 2 pounds of meat per meal, and I eat 3 times a day. So, of course, when eggs were cheap, I was eating a dozen eggs a day, and I eat about maybe a cup of yogurt and 3 to 4 ounces of cheese daily.
And look at him, guys. Everybody watching, does anybody see any fat on that guy? Do you really think? Now, I'm not saying everybody can eat like that because Rick is been doing it for a long time, and he is a very active person. He does a lot of heavy, hard work, but eating that much every day should tell us that I don't think we need to be nearly as worried about how much we're eating. as opposed to what we are eating. Do you have any
Yes,
thoughts on that, Russ?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, Rick looks like a well-dressed number 2 pencil. I think I think that's okay. But the question you tell me if I'm wrong because I'm wrong a lot. Was can you eat too much fat? It wasn't can you eat too much. And my answer to that would be that depends on if you have somewhere to go. So if you have to go to work, yes, you can. But if you can stay home, no. I would say that's how to answer that. But was that the question? Can you eat too much fat, or was it can you eat too much?
The question was, can you eat too much fat? But I wanted to move that on into both.
Yeah, listen, I'm a Dr. Barry guy. Shout out to Dr. Barry. He's probably somewhere falling off a tractor in the woods somewhere right now. But he just says, eat when you're hungry, eat till you're full, and that's it. I keep it simple, man. I'm not bright enough to understand all the gluconeogenesis, all that stuff, man. If I'm hungry, I eat. If I'm not hungry, I don't. And I eat fatty meats and eggs with the yolks until I'm not hungry anymore. And that's how I do it at this stage. Now, maybe later when I get further down the road, I'll, kind of zero in. But I kind of have the shotgun approach right now. Maybe I'll get to the sniper level at some point when, when I get to where you guys are at.
And last but certainly not least on this topic, Dave, what are your thoughts about this?
I don't think you can. Fat's so satiating, right? So if you prioritize fat, then I don't think you can overeat, because your body just goes, yeah, I've had enough, I'm done. But even if you could, I mean, it's a little bit like alcohol in a way. It's self kind of regulating or self-restricting, right? Because if you were able to eat too much fat, you're just going to be in the bathroom, right?
I think so. Now, let's see what we got. Another comment here. Ate lizard tail in Vietnam a couple of times. Had a good sized tail, close to 12-inch. Downright tasty. Odd thing was they would bob their head and make a noise that sounded like they were saying, okay. I've never actually eaten lizards or iguanas, but as Rick has told us, the tail is the tastiest part of the iguana, isn't it, Rick?
You're making me hungry thinking about lizards. Now I'm getting cravings. After this, I'll have to head to the canal.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the canal. Have you had any luck finding duck eggs down there at the canal yet, Rick?
No, I haven't been there. I was helping a friend of mine with some legal issues, so we were going over the documents, and I just finished with it just before this started. So maybe afterwards I'll go there and go egg hunting when it gets dark. I'll go there with my basket and, go over there like, what was that? A tisket, a tasket, or I got my little basket or something like that.
And this is a good one. Keep in mind, Rick says a cup of yogurt doesn't mean the chemical experiments from the retail sector. You make your own yogurt, don't you, Rick?
I make my own.
Excellent. Let's see what we got here. In March 2024, a scan showed I had fat in my liver. The doctor wanted to keep an eye on it. In April 2024, I went carnivore. This April, I had another scan, no fat in my liver.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Carnivore Hercules. It's amazing how many things this diet can fix. And yes, so basically, Rick eats like 6 pounds of meat a day. Yes, he does. He eats about 2 pounds of meat 3 times a day.
And if you don't believe me, ask this guy.
Yes, I have borne witness to the mastery of the Mopar. That's we went to a Brazilian steakhouse, and I think we'd still be in there today if we didn't have to leave. I think, yeah, he was. It was like feeding time at the zoo, family. It was just an amazing thing to behold, and I'm still trying to figure out how to monetize him and Darth Carnivore, because Charlie is half man, half amazing. I'm here to tell you today, family, this guy, Clash of the Titans. I'm talking King Kong versus Godzilla. Set it up at the only loser would be the Brazilian steakhouse. I can tell you that. There would be no loser between the two of them, because I'm telling you, it's unbelievable what these guys can do to fatty meat.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. IT says I got cramping issues in the legs last time I had been on Carnivore for a couple months. Also a lot of twitching. I'm just getting back onto it now. So yes, muscle cramping and leg twitching is a thing. Yeah, it is. Of course, the obvious answer that everybody's going to go to is electrolytes. But specifically for leg cramping, I have always thought that magnesium was the more important part. And I don't remember what type of magnesium it is. I know one of them makes you go to the bathroom, and others are not as bioavailable. But there's a good one. There's a good breakdown on Dr. Barry's channel. I just can't remember if it's magnesium malate or magnesium citrate or whatever. I mean, if you look on the store, there's 15 or 20 different types of magnesium. And whatever's in milk of magnesia, that's the one that's going to make you go to the bathroom really, really fast.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts on that, Dave?
Yeah, I was doing magnesium citrate for a while, and that was not good in the staying away from the bathroom department. So I got some advice from an interview I did that magnesium malate is much better. It's easier absorbed, and it doesn't have the same bathroom issues. And I've had success with that. So magnesium malate.
Mm-hmm. And I would ask Rick, but Rick, have you ever had a cramp of any kind in your life?
I don't even know what it's like, honestly. I've had sore muscles when I had to lift heavy things, but I don't really know what a cramp is.
And for those that don't know what he means when he says lift heavy things, he lifts engines for his truck and his van. Mm-hmm. How about you, Russ? Have you had any issues with cramps and such?
No, not had a lot of that, but I one thing that came to mind, of course, beyond the electrolytes, is if you just have only been doing it for a couple months, and that a lot of people don't realize how much fluid they will lose over the first 6 or 8 weeks of the diet. So make sure you're hydrating. I would say that's part of it as well, because that's how you lose a lot of your electrolytes. It's because you're letting go of all the fluid, and then it's what I understand.
Mm-hmm. And Cornerstone is here. Hello, good to see you, Rick. And Bill says 7 eggs and bacon, nap, then 2 1/3 burgers, and I'm done. And I don't know what we're saying. Thank you for, but you're welcome. Sorry, I don't know how you guys do it. I've never had this many people in the chat at once, so this is a whole new experience for me.
We just ignore them. No,
no.
I've never had that many.
Target Prime Rib says I finally met Charlie, Darth Carnivore.
Yeah, so
I haven't seen him yet. I'm going to have to go look him up after this stream, because apparently he's a character.
Yes, great sense of humor, good guy. I met him in I think Ketapalooza in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I met him, if I remember right.
Okay. You want to take just a few moments and give us just your quick rundown on how you make your yogurt, Rick? Because I'm assuming you make it right there in the house.
Yes. It's really very easy. All you have to do is heat up the milk to the point where it just starts to boil. and then you let it cool off. And what I normally do, I'll pour the milk into mason jars. So I'll make like a pot of milk. And if you don't have regular milk, you can use the cheap powdered stuff. I get that once in a while. People give me. Remember when we were kids in the 70s and things were expensive? We ate a lot of that. We drank a lot of that powdered milk. So if you use powdered milk, you just boil the water first. Now, I like to use well water. But I mean, if you have to use tap water, you're going to have to boil it to get the chlorine out of it. Otherwise, the chlorine will inhibit the yogurt growth and it's going to be kind of watery and clumpy. And then once you've mixed up your powdered milk or you use a regular milk, you pour it into the mason jars and then you're going to let it cool. Now, you don't want to put the yogurt culture in when it's too hot or you'll kill your yogurt culture and you'll have nothing but milk. So what you do, you put it in the mason jars. I put the lids on it, let it sit on the counter. Then I put my hand near it to see when it's cooling off. When you can grab the jar and hold it and it doesn't burn your hand, then it's just ready. And you unscrew the lid, get some regular plain yogurt. And I already have a starter culture, but if you don't have one, you can go to Aldi and get the whole milk plain yogurt. If you go to like the regular store, like that crap store, Publix, or even the Winn-Dixie, they normally sell a lot of flavored garbage. It has sugar and fruit and all kinds of nasty stuff in it. But if you go to Aldi, or I'm trying to think who else has it. There's another store that has it, but usually I get it from Aldi because it's the cheapest. Just take a spoonful of yogurt from that container and put it into each one, a spoonful in each mason jar. And then you stir it up and just put the lid on loose. I put it into my little gas oven that has a pilot light in it, and I let it sit for 24 hours. And by the next day, the yogurt is formed, and you can look at it. There may be a little whey at the top, but it should be nice and solid. If you like your yogurt tangier, you can leave it in there longer. If you leave it in there too long, it may grow mold or something like that. But I've left it in there for 2 days and it was still good. But generally, 24 hours is what you want. Commercial yogurt is typically fermented faster, so it's not quite as good. And a lot of times they add thickeners and they strain it. They put other stuff in there to speed it up. But real yogurt takes at least 24 hours to make a good yogurt. And I make it about once a week. And that mason jar, it's a standard size. I eat half of that every day. So I do consume a lot of dairy. I think a lot of the carnivores don't do dairy because it interferes with their diet. They can't lose weight. But in my case, when you're as skinny as I am, and as Bob said, as active as I am, it doesn't matter. I could eat the whole thing. In fact, I've eaten the whole mason jar every day. When I had too much milk, I didn't gain any weight at all. Felt just fine. It's easy to make, though. I did make a video out of it, but it got deleted. I'm going to have to do it again.
I'm sorry. Did the man just say he ate a mason jar? I don't think that's carnivore. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we've already heard from Rick on what he eats. How about you give us a little rundown, Dave, on what your normal day's food intake? Are you eating 6 pounds of meat a day like Rick is?
I'm not. I'm not someone who can stay thin like that. I have to kind of manage what I'm eating. But the good news is, being carnivore, you don't feel like you've got to keep eating. The hunger is really based on how much energy you're expending. I'm not a particularly active person, so I just have one meal a day. And what I was doing is I was eating about just over a pound of ground beef and about 8 to 10 eggs a day before. And I think now I'm probably it goes from between 6 to 10 eggs a day, but I'm changing more to eating steaks. A couple of Wagyu steaks each day if I can find some decent ones. But and typically that's either breakfast or it's like around 1-2 in the afternoon. Just depends on the day, how I'm feeling.
Okay. Yeah, and I am very similar to Dave. I have been on a 1 pound of ground beef and 8 to 12 eggs for a long time, until eggs got so doggone expensive. And now I'm having ground beef with a side of ground beef because I can get a whole nother pound of ground beef for less than a dozen eggs. So, which do I like better? Well, I like ground beef better. So I've just basically been eating 2 pounds of ground beef a day. I also don't eat that meal 3 times a day like Rick does, but I do eat about 2 pounds of food at a time. And I would like to get together with Rick and this Darth Carnivore and go to a Brazilian barbecue sometime, because I can put it away too. How about you, Russ? What's a normal day eating look like for you?
A normal day for me is first meal of the day is scrambled eggs and something with coffee, iced coffee. I drink iced coffee. And it could be, just whatever, sausage or ham or steak or whatever. Today I had some salmon, some things there with eggs. That's generally the first meal of the day. And then later in the day, I just have whatever fatty meat. Could be steak, could be ground beef, could be oxtails, could be roast, could be just lots, just whatever. Whatever's on sale and is in my freezer, because that's my favorite kind of meat, is whatever's on sale. It could be picanha, whatever. And then I do snack. I don't sleep that much. A general day for me is like from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. I just, so I get it from my dad. I just don't sleep. So I snack, but I snack on sausages and cold cuts and things like that when I don't want to eat a full, when I don't want to eat. But that's generally a day for me.
Okay, and then we'll have to say congratulations to Target Prime Rib, because he is on his way in the right direction. His A1C is down to 7.6 from 8.9. It's not there yet, but it's certainly going in the right direction.
Yeah, nice work.
Progress over perfection.
Stepped too close to the weed whacker on my face. Oh no.
I'm guessing he's saying he nicked himself shaving.
Okay.
But I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong on that,
I guess
please.
Bob speaks. Yeah, Bob's fluent Target Prime Rib there.
Mm-hmm. Is water loss due to reduced inflammation? Yes, Carnivore Hercules. That inflammation in your body is basically fluids that your body is holding on to. I don't know how many of you have been recent enough on Carnivore, if you're less than 3 months, that you can remember back when you first started. But the one thing that I noticed, I didn't really notice at the time, but now that I think back on it, it really did happen. Yes, I had the bathroom issues because I was adapting to fat, and some days it felt like I wanted to install a seatbelt on my toilet to keep me from blowing through the roof of the bathroom. But when you first get started on this diet, you will go to the bathroom and pee a lot. And that's the inflammation, the inappropriate fluids being held in all of the different tissues and joints and all that stuff. And that's what flushes out them very quickly. Did you go through anything like that, Dave?
I think, like worried about the ejector seat button on the toilet. Yeah. But I think also is, from my understanding, again, I'm not a doctor, but my understanding is when you eat a gram of carbohydrate, your body stores 4 grams of water. So when you go on a diet where you're basically cutting carbohydrates altogether, well, that your body doesn't need to retain that water anymore, and you're not eating any carbohydrates going forward, then you're not, putting those 5 grams on for every gram you're eating.
Yeah, I found another good comment there.
Wow.
Rick was so inspired by your lifelong journey with Carnivore. Put my 6-year-old on it. She's become very bright at math. She's now 8. Yes. And
Nice.
I wish we could all go back in time and feed our kids differently, because if we knew then what we knew now. I was just reading a study. It came out earlier this year. It was a small study, and of course, as we all know, there's no such thing as experimental studies, because you can't lock humans in a lab and force them to eat what you want them to eat. You have to take their word for it. But it was a fairly small study, but they had like 200 kids that were diagnosed ADHD, and they put them all on a low carb, no food diet. And by the end of the trial, it was like 78% of them no longer met the criteria for ADHD.
To piggyback just quickly on something Dave said a second ago.
Yeah, go ahead, Russ.
And again, the way I understand it is exactly right. Your body is part of a defense mechanism against too much sugar in the blood, will retain water to dilute the sugar and the insulin levels in the blood somewhat, I guess. And so when you lower your carbs and lower your insulin, you don't need to do that. And yes, you will. I wore a path in my carpet, ladies and gentlemen, when I first started there. So yes, it keeps you running. That's a great song by the Doobie Brothers. It keeps you running.
That's what happens to me when I eat vegetables.
Yeah, I didn't come to you on this question, Rick, because, well, you've probably never had any inflammation in your life.
Nope. If you look at pictures through my whole life, I look almost the same. I don't know what that is. Well, wait a minute. I have hit my hand with a hammer. I've stubbed my toe. I've had coconuts fall on my head when I was trying to get an iguana, and I guess that's a form of inflammation. I hit a coconut tree when I was riding my bike, and that hurt.
Yes, indeed.
He never had inflammation, but he's had a lot of aggravation. Now, that's not the same thing. It's a similar effect,
Mm-hmm. And Target Prime Rib put out a $5 super chat. Thank you, young man. I really appreciate it. Put this towards moving from the testing zone. And Booby Goats is here. I'm watching Mommy Dearest. For those of you that aren't following Booby Goats channel, her name is Erin, I believe. I'm terrible with names, but she lives out on a farm. She's got a bunch of chickens and other things, and I'm not sure which causes her more grief, all of the animals that she has to chase after or all of those kids that she has to chase after, because she's got a whole stack of both. So if you haven't checked her out, be sure and go check out her channel at some point.
So
and she looks a lot younger.
Does she have a bunch of kids or a bunch of children? Because kids are goats, aren't they? I'm confused here.
Yeah, I meant children, but I believe they have kids as goats also. She can correct me whether I'm wrong. I think they've got just about every kind of animal you can think of. I don't know that they have any cows.
Yes,
but I do know. But I know I've seen chickens and ducks and turkeys and goats. Other than that, I don't know.
I met her for the first time on I think Old Guy Carnivore had a birthday stream and she popped on there, and very sweet lady.
Yep.
Pete!
And there he is. And he could have some parasites. He lives down there in the swamplands of Florida, and he's actually probably just got a couple of little baby alligators living inside his thigh muscles, eating all that food for him.
I love to eat. I'm having a pork chop right now.
Yeah. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Dave's channel, he's basically the interview guy. He puts out other videos, but he's got, I think, what are you up to now, Dave? 1,091?
About 1,100 now.
Yeah.
That was just last week, ladies and gentlemen. That was just last week. That's crazy.
Here.
Yes. When Bob was scraping the bottom of the barrel and interviewed me many moons ago, there he was.
I was not scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're my brother Buckeye.
We know you don't scrape it, but you live at the bottom of the barrel there, Bob. We know about you, but I was talking about Dave.
Okay.
Yes, he was in bad shape. I mean, he was out of all options, and then he's like, "Okay, you come on, you. What's your name again?"
I loved our interview, Russ.
No, listen, and I'll tell you one thing. You came on the Keto Cookout and shut the place down. If you go back in my old videos, it's not hard to find because his picture's on the thumbnail. But man, we the Tuesday night show we do stupid things, of course, and he shut the show down. We asked the question, "What's the weirdest thing you ever ate?" And I won't spoil it here, but he gave an answer, and it brought the show to a screeching halt. I'm just gonna say.
It was kind of silence and then laughter.
And then he tried to clean it. And he's like, "Well, wait a minute, Webb." I said, "No, Dave, stop, Dave. Don't say another word. It can only get worse. Don't do it."
Okay, now I don't know what DE Kim 7NG is. But what I am going to say about low T3, if you go back and look at Dr. Baker's videos, when he goes over his labs, you will find that he is considered to have low T3. And I would like to say that I don't think any of the current charts and recommended allowances and ranges apply to carnivore, because if somebody here thinks that Dr. Baker looks like he's running low on T3, please speak up, because his muscles have muscles.
Yeah.
If I could have just one of his leg muscles and kind of divide it up and put it all over my body, I'd be twice as big as I am now.
He might be running a little bit low on T3000, but I don't know about T3.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, not just with T3, but with all of the markers. I mean, I know that, like Dave, you're in Japan where you have to go to a medical checkup every so often to keep your insurance and stuff. Have your doctors given you any kind of pushback on what you're doing?
No, not really, because they don't care. They're not interested really. Like, they just give you a mark at the end of the day on like an overall grade for your physical. And the last one I remember I had was a D, and that was solely because of my LDL. Like, everything else is fine, and or fine by the average standards, right? But I did have one doctor once, try and counsel me at the end of a physical when I told him I was doing carnivore, and he was like, "You need to have a balanced diet. You need to be eating fruits and veggies." And this guy, atypical of the Japanese, but yeah, he was massive. And I'm just like, I'm not sitting here listening to you lecture me about having a balanced diet. How's that working out for you, mate? So.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. How about you, Russ? Have you had? I know Rick hasn't been to the doctor in about a quarter of a century, so I'm going to skip him on this and go straight to Russ.
Yeah, I haven't been. Last time I went to the doctor, he slapped me on the butt and handed me to my mom. So no, I fell and hurt my knee maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and that's the last time I've been to a doctor. But I do through ownyourlabs.com. I've had 3 or 4 different, I think 4 different rounds of lab work over the last couple of years since I started. This. So I haven't been to the doctor, but I do check my blood work, and everything's going the right way. My last blood test, my A1C was 4.8. So,
That's awesome.
things are going the right way. So I don't feel like I need to do it as much anymore.
Okay. Oh, Target Prime Rib shaved his beard. That's what he was talking about earlier about getting too close.
Oh, the weed whacked.
The weed whacker, yeah. And I drink a cup or 2 of fatty coffee every morning. I add butter, some bacon grease, a bit of heavy cream, whip it up, yum. I don't care what anyone says. And, I recently finally cut out coffee for good, and so far I haven't noticed any difference. I've done 2 different over the past 3 years, I've done 2 different 30-day trials with no coffee and 1 60-day trial with no coffee. And to be honest, I don't know any different. Yes, coffee is made from a plant, so it's probably not the best thing for us. But as I talk about quite often on my channel, especially for those of you that are just getting started, you are changing so many things in your life. That cup of coffee that gets you going in the morning is the last thing I would worry about until much later in your journey. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like I've tried giving it up not that long ago. Gave it up for a couple of months. Didn't feel that much different, except I couldn't keep my eyes open. So I ended up taking it back up, and I kind of feel like, when you're getting started, especially, it's the least of the important things. Like especially if coffee is going to help you stay the distance, because it is a bit of an appetite suppressant. Yeah, focus on getting all the other junk out first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Russ?
Absolutely. Of course, I drink iced coffee. There's so much cream and ice in my coffee. I don't know how much coffee is actually in there. So it's, hard to say on that. I'm not really much of a hot drinker. I don't really like hot drinks very much. So absolutely, man. Everybody's different. Everybody's journey is different. Don't look to the left and to the right. Don't measure yourself against other people. Find what's best for you. Find what you can do and what you can sustain, and just look to make steady improvements. And yes, if you look at your diet and look at what how you're living, start with, the sugars, the grains, the seed oils, the junk, the processed foods, and all those kind of things. Those things are hard enough to get over. At some point, like I said, you're not a machine, you're not a robot, you're just a mere mortal. You're not a superhero from the planet Carnivore. Just concentrate on winning the battles, and the war will take care of itself.
Yeah. And I see a little bit of discussion going on in the chat over there about questioning Rick's ability to eat 6 pounds of meat by having 2 pounds at each meal for 3 meals a day. But Russ has seen him do it. Russ has been down there. The boy
I will take.
Hey,
no problem. Checkmate. I'll checkmate everybody. I'll take all the bets. I'll book them all. My money is on my brother Charles. So just go to Homesick Buckeye channel. Shoot me an email and tell me how much you want to put down. We'll put it together. And me and Rick will take my winnings, and we'll go to the Brazilian Steakhouse and traumatize them again.
The most I can eat in any one sitting is 4 pounds. That's my maximum.
In one sitting.
In one sitting. That's my maximum.
I said it was 6 pounds in a day, right? Like a full.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. My money's on the Mopar, brother. We can't lose.
Oh yeah.
Because I'll cheat anyway. Even if he can't, we'll cheat. So
yep. I'm sure I could put away, 3 or 4 pounds of meat in one sitting at the Brazilian barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way I could go back and eat that much 4 or 5 hours later. I would be stuffed for at least 12 or 15 hours.
Mm.
Oh,
I find
okay,
that
let's
2
see.
pounds is a comfortable amount.
Mm.
Yeah. And, as I point out to people as I'm making my videos, Rick has been eating this way for 41 years or so. So he has a very different metabolism from most of us for eating meat.
I never get tired of it.
Mm-hmm. And Dustin gave us a $10 super chat. Thank you, Dustin. So how is that pork chop, Rick? Is it any good?
It was delicious. But you know me, I don't put anything on it. I just cooked it up, let it cool off, no salt, no spices, just plain old pork.
the only thing he puts on it is his lips and teeth.
And you also notice that unlike most carnivores, I don't use a knife and fork.
Yes, caveman style.
I'm a caveman. My mom always called me a caveman. I prove her right.
Now you did act like you had some sense when we went out there. I have to say there you didn't.
Well, that's because you were there. I am somewhat civilized.
And I know you gentlemen, especially Dave, is really, really busy. We've gone over the hour. I'm going to keep going until we get caught up on comments. But if any of you guys have to bail out, that's perfectly fine. If you want to hang out, then that's okay too.
I'm here till you kick me out.
Cool bananas.
Okay. Looking hopefully to find some questions here. Let's see here. I used to have periodic ringing in my ears, but that stopped after going carnivore. Yeah, there's so many things that I didn't realize that I had until I heard somebody else talking about it. So what was I will start the thing that I found that I didn't even think about until I realized, oh yeah, I don't have those anymore. Eye floaters. I don't have eye floaters anymore. And I didn't even realize it until somebody mentioned it on somebody's channel. I don't even remember who the heck I was watching. I watched so many of you guys. Yeah, well. And how about you, Dave? Was there anything particularly that surprised you that you didn't really even think about till you were interviewing somebody and went, I used to have that too?
I wish I could remember what it was, but I had one of those things recently in an interview. But I think the thing that kind of generally snuck up on me was the improvements in my oral health. And I didn't notice that it had improved until I realized that when I was talking to my wife, she was no longer recoiling because of my bad breath. And so like normally I go and speak to her and she'd just put her head back like that as I was talking, and she wasn't doing that anymore. Yeah. So that the biggest thing was my oral health.
Okay. How about you, Russ? Have you had anything that surprised you?
Yeah, Pete also didn't mention he turned his music down too. He had periodic ringing in his ears, and he got on Carnivore and turned the music down. But yes, I will say that I wasn't really sickly. I didn't have any problems that I knew of. I was just heavy when I started. But the biggest thing that I noticed right away was not passing gas and going to the bathroom. I come from a farting family of folks. I don't mind telling you, everybody farts. The dog farts. So that just goes away when you're eating, the proper human diet. And same way with going to the bathroom, a couple times a day, just You know, again, I thought it was normal. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I thought everybody had gas and indigestion. Everybody I know has Pepto-Bismol in their medicine cabinet, you know, so, or Tums and things like that. It's just a common thing. So, to, you know, like I said, to get rid of that, I kind of admit I kind of miss farting a little bit. It's, you know, I can't lie. You know, I used to have fun clearing an elevator. That used to be a nice pastime there. But those days are gone. I had to find something else fun to do.
Yeah, and it's absolutely awful. This was before I was carnivore, but a friend of mine is on the other side of the aisle from us, and we were over at the Westroads Mall, standing in line at the food court, and James was 2 or 3 people behind me, and there were a couple of people in front of me, and he must have let one rip because this stench rolled over the crowd to where the guy behind the counter waiting on people went, "Is somebody changing a baby?"
Yeah, listen, man. Listen, I'm telling you, man, I can't be the only one. I might be the only one that'll admit it on these, you know, on these YouTube streets there. But man, after a big Thanksgiving dinner, it was like a fart choir, man. I mean, it's that grandma, everybody joined in. I mean, it was just, you know, it was normal. At least
It's like the Nutty Professor movie.
Yeah,
I remember blaming it on the dog as I was growing up.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought it was normal, but like I said, it definitely isn't normal. And then a lot of people I've heard people talk about thinking they were constipated, you know, because they're like, I didn't go to the bathroom today or yesterday. Something must be wrong. And like I said, it's just, again, like many, many things, things that you think are normal or, you know, that you're supposed to do or supposed to be. You have to unlearn all that stuff.
I can't stand all that farting my friends did. Oh,
Yeah,
somebody stepped on a duck. Remember that joke?
No.
Yeah, from the Caddyshack movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Somebody
Yeah.
stepped on a duck.
I thought you were serious there for a moment.
No, it's Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh.
He says, somebody went, somebody stepped on a duck?
Yes. Here, Dave, I didn't realize how much I say cool beans until I heard you say it. We need to come up with a carnivore term.
Right. So, like, there's cool beans, cool bananas. What can you say in a carnivore way?
Cool bacon.
Cool bacon.
Maximum meat.
That I like that one. Maximum meat.
You can
like
have the
that
duck
one, too.
food. Give me the meat.
Let's see here. Good to see a panel show again. Yeah, it seems people like groups of people, and I'm okay with that. My eyes, I apologize for not being able to read your names right now. My eyes are not focusing because I worked last night till closing and then got up again this morning, went in and worked the day side, and it was about 87, 88 degrees out there, which is not hot by Omaha summer standards, but it's pretty hot for the first few weeks of May. And I'm down to the point now where my eyes are just not focusing because I only got about 4 hours of sleep last night, because when you close and then open, it's a short night. But hello to you too, and thank you for the birthday wishes and the carnivore anniversary wishes. My husband Max got off insulin in 2.5 months on carnivore. Also, we had been 4 years of low carb, about 50 carbs a day before that.
That's wonderful.
Excellent.
Nice work.
You know, getting off insulin is great.
It's awesome, Marlene.
So everybody that has seen my story knows that, you know, I was taking 13 drugs in the morning and 9 at night, plus pain pills throughout the day. How about you, Dave? Have you managed to ditch any prescriptions you were taking?
No, I wasn't on any prescriptions. The only thing I'm on is a blood thinner because of the stroke that I had when I was 17. But yeah, other than that, I haven't had anything. Yeah. How
Excellent.
about you, Russ?
Yeah, we know Rick doesn't have any drugs because
I found this bottle from my old prescriptions.
Yeah.
what year is that?
Eckerd.
Let's see, 1978.
It's probably expired.
Yeah, it's cough medicine. It's a glass bottle. But yeah,
Wow.
Eckerd Drugs went out of business in 2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he takes iguana feet and duck bills and boils them down into a elixir. You know?
Mhm.
Back
And
then, the
yeah,
doctor used to make house calls.
Yeah. How about you, Russ?
I have never in my life had any medication other than antibiotic. It was a bad night, and she knows who she is. And if I ever see you again, you're gonna have a problem. But anyway, yeah, no, never any medications other than antibiotics in my life.
Okay, I'm just
I've never
trying to
been on
catch up.
antibiotics.
So, Rick, that now makes a good smelling salts.
Ooh, this stuff is strong. It's like some real strong whiskey. I mean, it must be mostly alcohol.
Yeah, well, you know what else they used to put in, it's hard to say if you were to do a chemistry experiment on a drop or two of that, what types of things you would find in cough syrup from the mid 70s. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, cocaine is a high probability.
Mm.
And several other drugs that have been discontinued since then.
I just think it's amazing. It's been all these years, and I mean, it's still there.
Mm-hmm. There's a good
It's
one.
amazing you still have it.
Rick needs to write a book of what he does. Like it'll be more than like a brochure.
It's so
Yeah.
easy. If
Yeah,
it has a tail, it's on the menu.
If it had parents.
If it has a tail, it's on the menu.
Yes, indeed. And we've got a broken carnivore from Missouri. Thank you for checking in. Oh, got a question. No, they're just quack, quack, quack,
Quack, quack.
You need to get a GoFundMe together for that guy and get him fixed. His new channel will be Fixed Carnivore.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Primal Lifestyle says I'm now on 99 weeks on carnivore. Dozen family members joining me on this way of life.
That's great.
Excellent. I mean, that is really, really good because
That's awesome.
that's the hardest thing. I get asked the question all the time, whether it be about a brother or a sister or a spouse or a mom or a dad or a loved one, cousin, whatever. How do I get them to see and change? And I would say, unfortunately, there's nothing you can say to them that will sway their decision. You just have to lead by example. And when they reach the bottom, it's at that point where they'll go, Bob made some big improvements in his life. Maybe I should listen to what he has to say now. And that's when you get a chance to talk to somebody about it. But there is nothing you can say. How about you, Dave? Have you ever found an easy way to convince somebody to go carnivore?
No, I think people have to be ready. And I agree with you about the leading by example thing. And someone I interviewed not so long ago made a really good point. Someone comes to them and says, look, I'm really interested in carnivore. Even at that point, she doesn't go into the big, long, in-depth spiel and all that kind of thing, because usually that ends up putting people off, right? So if someone comes to her and says, I'm really interested, what she does is say, okay, go and watch these videos. After you watch these videos, if you're still interested, come back and talk to me.
How about you, Russ?
Yeah, I have just a slightly different philosophy than many when it comes to this kind of stuff. And, I always say the carnivore diet is kind of like jail. It's not some place you plan to go. It's just somewhere you sometimes kind of end up. And for most people, that's what it is. There's not a lot of people who started out hardcore carnivores. They started out with keto, then they went to ketovore, and because what they found out is as they reduced their carbohydrate intake, they felt better. And then just as humans are, prone to do, they're like, well, hey, I can go a little further and a little further. And they end up with the carnivore diet because again, something I always say is those of us who have been doing this a long time have forgotten in many cases how utterly and completely bonkers we thought this was when we first started. It's normal to us now. We do it every day. We understand these things. But to the average person who has spent their whole life thinking fruits and vegetables and grains are healthy for them, has going to their doctor and all their friends and relatives are telling them all these things. It's just too much for them to kind of take on at once. So, I push the people to get their carbs down, lower their carbohydrate intake, that sort of thing, and then kind of push them more into the zero carb, life, because it's just something I think that, in my experience as an evangelist, most people aren't going to do it. And one other quick thing I will say, knowledge is everything. We're not in this, at least I'm not in this to fight food. I'm in this to fight misinformation. There are millions of people who are eating things every day that they don't like and they don't want because they've been told that it's good for them and they need it to be healthy. And so, for me, I think the important thing is to share information with people, tell people the right things. And I'm a witness. I'm a terrible example. I look like the before and after picture. Okay. I'm nobody's role model when it comes to this, but it's amazing how many people have emailed me, come to me and said, man, I listened to what you said and it's changed my life. I have handmade cards from people who thanked me for introducing them to the information. And they didn't do it at first, but one thing led to another. And they come to me and they say, man, I was watching your channel. I didn't even know they're watching my channel. So keep on keeping on. Share the message with as many people as you can. And trust me when I tell you, it makes a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. I would, for this question from IT here, I eat pot roast. I won't say I eat it regularly because I'm primarily eating ground beef, but I did just have a pot roast yesterday for my birthday. But I can't really call it a pot roast because I don't put it in a pot. The one for my birthday, I took a 2.5 pound pot roast, cut it down the middle to basically turn it into 2 pseudo steaks and fried them up in my cast iron skillet. I have never had problem with any kind of beef. I would have to ask a follow-up question. When you say pot roast and you say you added bone broth, were there vegetables in there as well, or or some kind of pot roast seasoning? Very few people actually have reactions to beef itself by itself. Any thoughts on that, Dave?
Yeah, my thoughts were the same. I don't eat pot roast, but my thoughts were the same. Were there any vegetables in there?
Yeah. Rick, I know you eat everything and anything.
Well, I mean, when you say a pot roast, a lot of times what I'll do, I'll steam the meat in a pot. So what I'll do, I'll put some water in there and I'll put the meat on a grate and then just let it steam. Sometimes I just boil the meat and other times I'll roast it. I've never had a problem, but I can do it with beef. I can do it with pork, and I've done it with iguana. I've even done it with parking lot chicken, and none of them ever give me any issues. The only time I've had issues, and I have to admit, when I go to somebody else's house, and like you said, I've had pot roast, and then I've had some digestive distress. But then I found out it was cooked with vegetables and potatoes and all that. Even though I just ate the meat, it gave me a little bit of a loose time in the bathroom. It tasted fine when I ate it. I didn't get sick or anything, but a few hours later, it's like, I got to go to the bathroom, and I got to go real bad. Because normally when I got to go to the bathroom, I got about an hour or two, because it's like you start getting that feeling, I could go to the bathroom, but I'm still working. But when you eat vegetables and you start getting that feeling, you got about 20 minutes max. Otherwise, you better be running for the ditch or find a toilet somewhere, or you're going to have a giant mess.
Okay. Just as we're getting ready to wrap things up here, I want to go around the horn here, and we'll start with Homesick Buckeye or Russ. Tell us about your channel, and do you do any other social media besides YouTube?
No. Shout out to Erin Booby Goats, since she's making oxtails. I love that. I had oxtails last week. And just a quick note, I generally, if I do a roast, I will put oxtails in with the roast to make it all together to add more fat to the roast, which is kind of drier and more lean. But I just have a YouTube channel, Homesick Buckeye. I used to do a lot of interviews and different things. I'm just now pretty much down to my weekly live stream Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, where it's just a fun live stream. The link's in the chat. People come in. Rick is on there routinely. Bob is on there routinely. Dave should come on routinely. But it's just fun, social. I love to laugh, have fun. We talk about, whatever we want to talk about, our families, our friends, our lives, sometimes a little sports when you and I talk Buckeyes. And we do usually get around to some ketogenic carnivore lifestyle kind of questions from people who want to know about that. We're open to that as well. But I do have a Facebook. I'm never on there. I have an Instagram and TikTok. I'm never on there. Just a YouTube channel right now. And I hope to, when life gets out of the way, pick up again and start doing some interviews and some things. But right now it's just pretty much the weekly show. And the Reverend put out a new video today. So for those of you who are Reverend fans, the Reverend found out it was Bob's birthday today and made a message. It's not on there yet, but it will be on there within the next 4 to 5 hours. I'll say it'll be up for those who like the Reverend.
Okay, and Rick, let's go to you. Rick is the live streaming god or something. I mean, he's on Saturday mornings, his live stream is going on usually for an hour before I even get out of bed.
Yeah.
And then, it wasn't this most recent Saturday, but a couple of weeks ago, I got up, I jumped into his live stream, I said hello. I even called him on the phone. Then I went out for a walked 3.5 miles, which takes a while, made my food for the day, ate it, started a load of laundry, came back into my computer, was going to play some games or something, and there's Rick still live 5 hours later.
It's more like a live stream than a live stream.
So tell us about where we can find you and what you're doing, Rick.
Well, the longest live stream I've had so far was 8 hours. It was from 8 to 4, but I've even gone a little bit longer than that. I think my last one was 7 hours. I think it was to 3 on a couple of days. Was it yesterday? Yesterday it was from 8 to 3. So, but the thing was, I was only on my channel for about half an hour, 40 minutes. Then I was in Jonathan's channel, and that went on and on and on because Jonathan had his about an hour or so autism and carnivore live stream. And then he says, well, he's going to take a break because obviously, with the conditions that he has to deal with, he needs to take a break now and then. So he put me in there, and then people started coming in. And, a lot of times I'm one of those people that people like to come into because I let them talk. I don't interrupt them. I'm usually pretty nice. Some people tend to be a little bit aggressive, and I'll sit back and say nothing. But as soon as someone asks me to talk, then I don't stop. But I am aware of my time. I used to give lectures and seminars when I had my business, and I would always end on time. No one was ever bored. If people started falling asleep, I would do something a little bit different, whether it be dropping something or making a funny noise or just quacking, whatever it takes to get them to stay awake. That's the main thing. And in terms of YouTube, is pretty much all I do. I do have a Facebook account, which I never look at because the only thing I've seen on Facebook account are bots. You have all these fake girls that say they want to meet you and all that. And, I can't believe anybody wastes their time on that. I've never used Instagram. I've only seen a couple of TikTok videos in my life. So if you want to see me, all you got to do is look out for this guy over here because every 2 weeks I'm a co-host on his channel and I drop in quite often. And you'll find me on all the best carnivore channels. So if you have a carnivore channel that you really like and you got some good people on there, the host is excellent, sooner or later you're going to see the big quack on there. I'm also, I think next week I'll be on Dr. Kiltz's channel Wednesday morning. They scheduled me for that. I haven't sent me the link yet, but Alia did say I was going to be there, so I'll be there. And again, don't forget this Tuesday, which is in a couple of days, I'll be over here with this guy, and there'll be something funny because I'm good at laughing at myself. I don't take myself seriously because, believe me, I'm the last person that anybody wants to imitate. I'm just here for entertainment and comedy value. So that's it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert, but I've been doing this a long time. And hey, I'm here to keep you happy if I can.
Okay, and last but not least, Dave, tell us all about the stuff and things and where we can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube. You can find me by searching No Carb Life or @zerocarb. And got lots of interviews on there. I've interviewed everyone on this panel. Also, you can find me on Twitter, realzerocarb, and or X. And also, I've got a Facebook group, but that's kind of a long, weird URL. So you can find the Facebook group just by clicking on the link in any of my videos. Yeah, so that's me.
Excellent. And of course, everybody knows me. At least I hope they do. Semi-retired Bob. I'm the weird one.
You'll never be the weird one with Rick on his panel. Yeah, the most you can hope for is second place on that one.
But I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with me today on my birthday. And thank you to Russ and Rick and Dave. It was a pleasure to have you guys here today. And as I always say when I'm getting ready to close out a video, don't forget to get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, and every day. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you in the next